What's up, folks? Hope you're doing well. In light of the recent events with what happened to FURIO, now I hope you watched the video where I talked about my opinions and how we could go forward in regards to that ROIdapp. So this hindered the progress of the small niche, so to speak, and specifically in regards to ARKfinance. So that's another upcoming ROIdapp that I have 2 videos on already. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. They do have very interesting stuff going on in the background. And because this happened to FURIO, and essentially many people comparing ARKFI to FURIO at the beginning, at the infancy stages of the protocol, so the lost confidence in FURIO and whatever has happened has made it so that some people are, like thinking and double checking whether it's worth it to invest in ARKFI because, there was a huge comparison between the two. So what I want to do today, because I did study this protocol, I just want to go over the differences between the two so people understand how they can position themselves in regard to whether they choose to invest or not, and my personal opinions on whether this could be better at the end of the day or it would have the same outcome as the other project is currently facing. So don't go anywhere. Okay, so we cannot start this whole thing, so my whole basically analysis cannot be, initiated without addressing the elephant in the room, and that is being whatever happened recently to FURIO. So this whole situation came in at a time where ARKFI was supposed to launch their third public pre-sale, and because this happened, it hindered the progress of that pre-sale. So the first 2 pre-sales have filled out at a very fast pace, between 2 minutes and 5 minutes overall. So first one was very quick, 2 minutes I think. Second one up to 5 minutes. This one is still ongoing. So if I go to the DApp, you could see that there's still about 257 NFTs up for grabs. Each one is would cost you about 356.25 USD. So this not being filled out, of course, the main reason we have to always touch base on the current situation in the market, but the FURIO events that have happened have put a small break into the progress of the third public pre-sale here, and that is completely understandable. Of course, if you would have your investment slashed by 80% overall, of course it's dashboard money, but still that's how much you invested, right? You invested money, time to grow that vault into something that you would want to take profits from at some point. So doing all of this, paying gas fees so that you can get your investment slashed by that much is a bit underwhelming, and that would put you in a position where you might not be very interested and motivated to pull out more funds and to invest into something that you would render similar, even though it's not. Like I said, there are so many differences that we're going to talk about real soon. So that's something that I just wanted to put out there. It's very obvious as to why we are right now. So for everyone asking why pre-sale 3 is still alive and hasn't filled out as quickly as the other 2, there's your reason. You have 2 things: FURIO situation, bear market situation. That's very obvious. Now, again, without going too much into details, because I did post 2 previous videos as to how the protocol would perform, because we're still about 1 week before launch, I think. I mean, it's a bit less though, but by the time I publish this one, most probably will be very close to launch, maybe a day or 2. So all of that information is packed into 2 videos. You can check them out. I'm gonna leave links in the description below, but I'm gonna talk mainly right now about the differences between the two. So like I said at the beginning, so you know how you can position yourself. All right, so let's go over the differences, like I said, with whatever ARKFI will bring us, because ARKFI hasn't launched yet. We're still in public pre-sale number 3. And the basis of comparison, as mentioned, will be FURIO. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that that ROIdapp is, the head of the niche. This is still a very small niche that is being developed, and the gamification of all of these elements are being done as people are learning. Now, of course, you shouldn't play with investors' money. To learn something, to experience something, do that with your own money. But unfortunately, this is how it is. Now, of course, the basis of this niche, so what started it all, if we go back in time, it's Bankroll on Tron, but Drip took that infrastructure and made something a bit more appealing to the general network of people inside the small space, and it became kind of the king of this small niche. So whatever came up after that, they tried to replicate this as a basis, but of course they did, and they added more features. They tried to, you know, improve whatever was lacking there and try to make it more appealing, and hence why FURIO has increased, was the first one to actually go above that 1% a day to 2.5% a day, and ARKFI also goes to 2% a day. That's why the comparison was made there, and them being launched or to be launched after FURIO came out. So there is a lot of things that were mentioned to compare these two, and that's why many people were actually going into ARKFI at the beginning, and they were interested to see what they have in store. And granted, the code is written from scratch. There are still similarities that one cannot overlook. But like I said, the things that these guys are about to bring for us are much more interesting in regards to whatever FURIO did, even though at the beginning they were very promising. You know how things are right now, unfortunately, but it's worth talking about what could the starting points in regards to differences give a different outcome as to FURIO's current situation. So first things first, the pre-sale tokens that you would purchase right now will immediately go into the Ark Vault, meaning you don't have any opportunity to dump tokens at launch, which was the case for FURIO, because you could purchase a pre-sale NFTs, and when you dilute these NFTs into tokens, you could sell them on the market. Now, granted, there was a 50% sell tax, you know, for any loose tokens, but still, like, imagine launch price was exactly 5 times the price of the first pre-sale. So even with the 50% tax, you could get 2.5x you know, the amount of money you paid for those tokens originally. So you're still in a very good profit position, right? Even though you're gonna be subject to 50% tax. That is assuming that you literally sold at launch price and you didn't sell, you know, with price appreciation, because there's always a launch bump. So that's one thing. Second thing, the presence of CWR, so something we actually spoke about. So the compound to withdraw ratio, that is something that FURIO doesn't have. It's very important to limit the hyper compounding stages of one's wallet. So with FURIO, you can compound 7 days a week at 2.5%. You are literally accelerating your dashboard tokens at a very high pace. And you had people getting to max wallet within a few months if they deposit high amounts of tokens to begin with, and there were people who did this. Now with ARK, you cannot do that. You are subject to a CWR limit that is a maximum of 8 compounds per 6 claims on a period of 14 days. So you have to claim, unless if you do decide to hyper compound, and even then you have to claim once per 2 weeks, so per 14 days. You have to purchase a very expensive platinum NFT, and that way is the only way for you, you know, to go beyond that 8-to-6 ratio. Of course, if you purchase less expensive NFT, you can do more compounds, but you have to claim within this period. That is a must, and that is very important, you know, not to overwhelm the system at some point with so many max wallets. And speaking of, you know, claiming and getting money, the highest you can go to is 2% versus 2.5% at FURIO. So that is something that is set, and that 2% will only be available for you until your net deposit value drops negative, and eventually that will happen no matter what. Of course, you can prolong that. I did mention how in my previous video You can, you know, buy bonds, buy a legacy NFT. So there's always a way to prolong that 2%, but at some point in time, you're gonna have to drop to 1%. And if you do claim a lot, you will drop to 0.5%. So if your CWR drops below 0.75, that is 6 to 8 ratio on a 14-day cycle, you're done, you're at 0.5%, and that can never be recovered. Now the max payout is less, so it's 80k versus 100k. That helps, so there's less sell pressure because you're gonna be getting less tokens eventually. And the direct line referral rewards are a bit different. So there's a lot of tokens that will eventually go to the Guardian wallet. Now, if you don't know what the Guardian wallet is, refer to my previous video. It's like the head wallet. So you can compare it to a dev wallet, but it does help the protocol overall. It will give also rewards to people who participate in something new they're gonna release. So a separate pool for people who are, you know, who are incentivized to buy either NFTs or even bond, so increase liquidity, BUSD. Yeah, so there's about 15 levels in referral rewards, and most of these will end up in the Guardian wallet. You as an upliner, direct upliner, you will only get 1 per 15 compounds. So essentially you won't get as much as you would in FURIO, where the direct upline is getting most of the rewards. Now again, you know, you can see the differences between the two in regards to structure. Now, one thing that FURIO distinguished themselves at the beginning was the ability to take money on the side and generate external revenue to feed back into the protocol, because they did set a liquidity management system to keep the price within a certain range, and getting money was essentially from, you know, from extensive buys. So if you set the limit at let's say 5.5 as they did previously, 4.5, 5.5, for people buying, so the more people buy, that money will be sold and put aside for this liquidity management system. And all of this excess money was decided to put on the side to, you know, to invest elsewhere. Unfortunately, the decisions to invest was made centrally by the team. That's one. So community had no input. Two, both of their investments so far have been failures. So the bot is generating negative. So he's not in profit, he's in a loss. And two, their online casino hasn't launched. Presale has been done for months now, but most probably will not launch. Let's see, maybe I'm wrong. There are so many legal issues there. Now, the idea of ARKFI also generating revenues is there, and they decided to do so through other means of investments. Now, again, this is not something disclosed, you know, on you know, pen on paper, but it was mentioned several times. So they will go through hedge funds in order to invest, so they won't make decisions themselves. So hopefully all of this will be regulated as well, because they do have, so the team has real life experiences in businesses, and they have a huge number of years to back that up. And also they plan to invest in zero energy cost crypto mining. So that is very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing these decisions. Of course, the team is not going to reveal all their cards at the beginning. We haven't even launched yet, but that's what they're hinting at. And speaking of decisions being made drastically, they did say that they won't make any centralized approach to whatever they decide to do going forward with the protocol unless the DAO is involved. So DAO voting will decide where to put the money, if changes need to be made, etc. Because you cannot render a contract completely immutable. You have to have the ability to change a few elements and tweak them. If you don't do that, your contract, if it doesn't behave as you wanted to, you cannot touch it. So you're gonna have to launch a version 2 or whatever. So you're gonna have to halt it. With having the ability to change a few things is very important, but of course, all these changes, if they are decided through the community, is much better than the FDT, so the FURIO development team, doing these decisions and just putting it out there and saying, okay, this is what happened, you have to deal with it now. So this is something that I hope will happen, honestly, and it's very, very, very important to go into that direction, not to have any surprises and any heart attacks whenever something of big change comes to life. Alright, that's it from me today. Thank you for sticking around and listening to everything I had to say. I really hope I brought you some value with this for you to understand where you stand. If you haven't invested yet, maybe this will change your mind, or maybe this will confirm your idea of not investing overall. So you have to make your own decision at the end of the day. It's still risky nonetheless, even though structure wise it's better, it's still risky because you never know, right? And as history has taught us that it's always important to take your initial investment back as quickly as possible. And with the idea of ARKfinance being, you know, a vehicle to help you do so, then it helps overall to do that. So my advice is do that first, and then whatever is left is profits, and that you can, you know, take higher risk with something that you don't actually own or haven't actually realized. And of course, we spoke about differences, but similarities such as daily limits to sales and the FUR pool versus, you know, the ARK bonds, which also provide liquidity paired with the stablecoin that has, I mean, there are similarities there between the two. But again, we're more geared toward changes, and changes need to happen if this niche has any future of progressing and, you know, earning towards that sustainable model that everyone is hoping to achieve, and not having a repeat of a chart like this, which is very important. So with that being said, if you like whatever I put on this channel in regards to content, a like and a sub would be very much appreciated. Do so if you actually like whatever I'm putting in and you want to keep up, not for the sake of doing that. And as always, take care of your finances and trade responsibly. This was Roy with DeFi Ascension. Thanks for watching.